Hey guys, I am so excited that you're here at the Healthy Hustle podcast. I have the extreme pleasure of having Dr. Vita here today. I'm not going to get into a lengthy intro about this amazing woman who is a menstruation coach and helps so many women who are struggling with the problems she's going to tell you about today. What we are diving into is how she got to where she is now, where she has people coming in. She's got a profitable business. And so without further ado, can you introduce yourself?
Hi. First off, let me just say, I am a fan of all things Rachel Feldman. Like, Rachel Feldman is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And she doesn't know this, but I remember a Sunday morning, I was laying in bed with my husband and I found her on YouTube. And she was there with a whiteboard behind her. And she was like, this is how you make 150K or whatever. And then she broke everything down. And I was like,
yeah,
why am I not doing this? So before I go into myself, I just want to say that I absolutely love Rachel. Rachel's changed my life. Her content, her company have absolutely changed the game for me. So hi, I'm Dr. Vita. I help women that have period problems, reproductive issues, infertility, fibroids, you name it. I am the girls' doctor, the girls' virtual health coach. And so I just help women just change their eating habits, change their lifestyles, detoxify, etc., so that they can have a healthy womb. And if that means them having children, I help them have children. If not, I just help them have wonderful, beautiful experiences with their periods.
Which I think, one, I love this topic because I feel it was so taboo for the longest time. Women were like, oh, I'm not going to talk about my period, instead of sitting there and saying, this is something that I go through. Like, why am I not thriving during this experience? Why am I having to sit here and think it's something that I shouldn't be, looking at as like a blessing?
I don't know if it's how we're raised, and I know everyone that's listening to this was raised differently, but I still kind of feel like there's this like hush hush about our periods. Like, oh, it's a secretive thing, it's a quiet thing, nobody should talk about it. I tell people on my social media, I'm breaking that stigma. I show me your period, show me that pad, show me your underwear, show me your discharge. This is not something to be ashamed of. This periods are the reason why we're here. Everybody that's alive is alive because somebody had a period. Somebody has a reproductive system. And so I love breaking that stigma. Let's talk about periods. I share my experiences with periods. People know my cycle. People know what goes on down in my privates, because I share. And I get a lot of people that come to me and say, I've never told anyone this. I've never talked about this, but this is what's going on with my cycle. So I'm here to break that stigma so that we can be comfortable talking about something that is normal and beautiful that we need to celebrate.
So one, clarity is unbelievable for any coach who's sitting there saying, how do I step into ownership of my business? What you just said is not only perfectly clear, but I could feel your why. You were like, this is what I do. I'm breaking the stigma. And so just want to say that was so beautiful, which brings us to really this next part is, I know a lot of coaches feel this massive overwhelm. We come out of school. I mean, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. Take us back to before you started being a virtual coach and kind of bring us into, what it took for you to get to here.
Okay, so I'm currently actually doing my fellowship. I'm at UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas. And so I have a long history with health challenges. And initially I wanted to be a practicing MD PhD. And I've had lots of health challenges in my life. And the MDs just have never, ever been able to help me. I've had to bootstrap and do everything on my own, using herbs, alternative medicine, etc. And so then I was like, there's no way I want to be practicing anything. And I don't want to have a laboratory. I don't want to do any of that. I want to teach people how I was able to have my baby. I want to teach people how I would go to the doctor. My blood work would say everything's okay, but I knew everything was not okay. And so I said, I wish there was a way that I could just like teach people this, but I had absolutely no idea how I could do that. I'm like, I'm not a naturopathic physician. I'm not any of that. So how could I take my knowledge and help people? And And so that's when I just started Googling, like maybe I could have like a course where I could teach people some stuff. So I just started Googling. And then that's how the SEO, I ran into people like you. I had a different business coach who I found through Facebook ads. So I found her last year. So I'm very new. So I found her last year, and then I did her program. And then while I was in that program, I found you. And started implementing the things that you teach.
It's interesting that you say that, because I find that a lot of coaches they'll stumble on a YouTube video and say, there's so much. I think the video that you stumbled on was the 100K video, where I was in my living room, working on a whiteboard. I, similar to you, feel that there is a lot of information, but if you start doing the things that we have to do in order to be in front of our ideal client, and as long as we are clear, which is what you are, what was it like when you were doing other methods? I think you had mentioned you did an on-demand webinar and did Facebook ads. What wasn't working? Because that's a proven method that many gurus, many business coaches talk about. And it also can be a little financially exhausting, because the Facebook ads, I think to a masterclass, is usually anywhere between $6 and $12.
Yeah. So I went on and I found a business coach, very, very expensive, but I hired them, and they had that system where you have the webinar, you're running these ads. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly why that didn't work for me. Maybe it was because I was in the beginning stages. But now when I look at the customers that I've gotten, it's me like this, telling my story, saying, hey, this is what happened to me. And then these people binge watch my videos. Yep. They go on my YouTube, they go on my social media, they binge watch me, and then they contact me after some time. But most of the people that I deal with, nobody saw me and immediately wanted to hire me. They want to first, I guess, maybe wait for their cycle to come, wait to see if they're pregnant. There's a delay between when somebody first finds me and when they come to me as a client.
Even that trust building process, because look, I love webinars. I love masterclasses. I love everything, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But what you just said is exactly what I know deep in my heart from being on the front line and building my own business. People have to trust you. They need to binge watch. They need to see the information, see that there's consistency. Yeah. And so do you think that you'll go back to doing something like the webinar funnel, or do you feel like this is just working?
So will I do the Facebook ads? I don't know. I have the webinar. So actually, I took one of your workshops and I created a webinar from it. And so I have that webinar. So whenever someone comes to me, I say, hey, how do you help women? So I'll say, okay, well, I have a webinar. So watch this webinar and then you can book a call with me after. And so it's your slides, and I kind of personalized it a little bit more, telling my story, but it's your content that helped. And then at the end, they can book a call with me. So,
I love that. Yeah. I swear, I'm like, are you my sister from another mister? Because I used to do the same thing while everyone's so overwhelmed with, what do I put in my discovery call? What's the script? What do I say? I was always like, here's a video of what I do. I go over why you're not getting better with your gut, why your kid has food allergies, like the why of it. Right. And you want to work with me? This is what it's going to look like. And so you're pretty much giving that person repurposing, and using that to help pre-qualify.
Right. Yeah. So I don't immediately throw out my link to book a session with me. Usually it's like, okay, if they want to learn about how I do what I do, okay, watch this webinar. And it's not long. It's maybe a 23-minute webinar. So it's not super long. I get to the point, I tell my story, I get the main problems, I talk a little bit about my method, and then book a call with me at the end. So I think that this method has been excellent for me. I also, on the webinar registration page, I did something that you told me to do. I'm on there with my son. And I'm
Oh,
like, hey, look, this is Jordan. And then my son's like talking and he's like, gah, 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 you know, and you told me that when I got on call with you, you said, get on there with your son.
yeah.
Like,
Show that. Oh, you're just giving me chills. Show that transformation.
right.
I mean, I think for anybody, I know you said in the beginning, we had this call. I remember you came and said, I'm getting people on discovery calls, but I'm not closing. And you and I started just deep dive and soul talk about, you know, our why. And I even said to you, I can feel your why. It's so prominent. So what's this disconnect? Can you take us back to even like that conversation? And so for anyone who's sitting there saying, I'm not converting, what was like that aha moment that you had that day?
I was so frustrated. Like, I just want to cry because I'm like, other people seem to be doing okay with this method that my business coach is teaching. But why isn't it working for me? Or at least I thought. Now that I've talked to other people in the program, it's not as easy as they make it seem. So I was 2 months into a 3-month program and I just wasn't connecting with these people. I had booked 30 discovery calls by the time I talked to you. So of course,
yeah. So it's not like you're not speaking from, hey, you know, you actually were converting people.
Yeah. So this was the problem. They had us with this script. And so they're like, take our script and like, this is a proven script, like read from it, just, you know, swap out a few words. They went and they checked my script and it just wasn't me. Like, it just didn't have my energy. It didn't really have me in it. And the other problem is they're trying to get me to sell this person a high ticket program, a 3-month or whatever high ticket program, when maybe that actually isn't what my ideal client wants. My ideal client is trying to get pregnant. So they want to fix their menstruation issue so that they can get pregnant. But every month they think that this is the month. So they're not going to commit to a 3-month program because it's like, why am I going to pay you a couple $1,000s up front when I could be pregnant right now, or I'll be pregnant in a couple weeks, or I'll be pregnant next month, you know? So
I think you and I even talked about it that day, that for a lot of people who have had past issues, you, myself, we know how jaded we are to think, oh, here's another person who's saying they're going to help. Because just like you said, you had to bootstrap, figure this out. A lot of us had to go through that path. It's not that we didn't see amazing people. It's not that we didn't have amazing education. But I would say when somebody was like, oh, it will be 2,000, I would think, how many $2,000 have I wasted? How many $2,000 didn't work? And so I think you really honed in on another aspect of that feeling of just, I don't want to go down and be frustrated again as well.
Yeah. And I think another thing that you brought up to me was the messaging. So I would tell people, yeah, I'll help you get pregnant, but that messaging wasn't there. The content that was on my social media wasn't talking about the process. It wasn't like honing in on the process. And you said, you know what, why don't you also focus on the menstrual cycle? Because that's indeed what I do. I help people through working on their menstrual cycle. And so that like rung a bell and said, wow, people, there's this, they just don't see how I'm going to help them. They think that I'm just taking their money and there's no real process, but that they're going to sign up for this 3-month thing and pay thousands of dollars and it's a waste. So your content has helped me like put the messaging on my social media, the post on my social media, so they understand my process. And then they take these short 3 weeks at a time, or, you know, a session by session approach instead of like a long 3 to 6 month program.
Do you find, and I know some people, that's why I always say you got to wear the jeans that fit you and your favorite brand, is that I loved offering that as well. I felt that some people didn't need to have a long time with me. Some people, my ideal client was a crazy, busy, overwhelmed mom with autoimmune, food allergies in their family, anxiety, all their stuff. And sometimes they would say, can I just go month by month? I don't even know what next month. And I didn't feel that it was a lack of commitment. I really felt that that was making them feel anxious to say that they were going to do longer.
Yeah. Maximum that I do is a month. That has worked extremely well. Like I said, my ideal client thinks that they're pregnant right now. My ideal client, the menstrual cycle comes every month. So they're like, well, let me first see what's going on this month. So yeah, I think everybody just has to kind of see what their ideal client, what they want, what their needs are, their schedules, do they already have children, things like that.
No, that's such a great point, because I think a lot of us stay in our coach head instead of like stepping in and saying, what's my ideal client's life right now? Is this doable for them? When are they going to be able to meet? How, like, what's the best way for us to have the best transformation, instead of saying, everyone says I should do this. Like, just think about your client and think about that unbelievable synergy. So when you were sitting there, and of course you were showing up on social media, were you showing up on the same social media channels that you're doing now?
No, I changed everything around. So initially I had a Facebook group, but at the time that you and I spoke, I did have a Facebook group, but I was really just on Facebook, and I would just post long copy posts. And that was really it. And with time, I discovered that my ideal client isn't just on Facebook. I've done really well with branching out to other places. I had an Instagram account that I totally rebranded. Like, the one that you see right now is just 2 months old. So I was like, you know what? I'm changing everything. Like, I'm reintroducing myself to everyone. I'm telling more of my story. I'm being myself more. I love to laugh. I love to, I'm just going to show myself. So what'd you say?
Just be you.
Right. I'm just going to be, because basically my business is me telling my story, and I'm teaching you how I overcame these problems.
Yeah.
So I am on Instagram. I'm on Clubhouse. I partner with other people, and I do rooms every week. I'm on YouTube. You told me to get on YouTube. You said, show your face and tell your story.
Because I started listening to you just like everyone is now. And I was like, girl, you're preaching from the mountaintop. I do the same. I said, and because this is also menstruation, fertility, I feel like they need a lot of explanation. And so in that video, that's why I said to you that day, I'm like, I think your medium is video, where you can be yourself and get all amped up and get excited, because that's who you are.
Yeah. And we were taught in the coaching program that I was in when I met you, we were taught just to write like long copy, and then just post that long copy every day to your Facebook group or to your Facebook page. But it's like, that doesn't work. My ideal client needs to see my face. They need to see me. They need to laugh with me. They need to cry with me. Sometimes I get on and I'm crying, and we're crying together. So YouTube has been great as well. I've gotten clients from YouTube, and I don't have a big channel. Like, I'll just have just a few dozen views, but I've been able to get clients off of that. So that was the big thing. You told me get on video, get on SEO. So I'm launching my blog as well soon. So that way I'll be able to get on SEO, like you said.
And then take that blog and then put it in the description of your video, and bring them back to the home, or take that blog and share it to Pinterest, because that's the thing I always think about is, it's not that you want to exhaust yourself and create 5 different social media posts. It's how can you use this one video that you did so well on Instagram, download it, put on TikTok, put that even on your blog, so that people really get to see you.
Yeah. Repurposing is amazing. I mean, I would say for the past 4 months, for example, your toxin-free challenge, your 5-day toxin-free challenge gave me content for months. I think I'm just now finishing everything that I need to say from there. And so the content that you see on my Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, I'll even talk about it in Clubhouse. So yeah, I repurpose a lot of stuff.
So you're using it not just as a freebie. You're actually using it for content, for that. That is, I think I say that like a broken record. I'm like, theme your month, take one PowerPoint or one freebie and talk about that content. Just drill home and really educate people consistently on that topic so that they understand, oh, wow, so this is a piece of her process.
And then I expanded. I took that 5-day toxin free challenge as if it wasn't already loaded with information. But I took, like, for example, there was one section where you were talking about like the stuff that's in our kitchen, like our cleaning products are toxic. So then I took that, and for like a couple weeks, I was like showing people recipes. Like, this is how I make my detergent. This is how like you can make a homemade cleaner. So I would just like expand on like the different topics that you have. Okay, we're talking about tongue scraping. So, I mean, there's so many things that you can talk about and extend. And you know what? I take it a bit further, and I actually incorporate some affiliate marketing into some of that stuff. So that's helped a lot. That's brought in some good revenue as well.
Well, and I think what you're bringing up, which is such a point that we often miss, is educating is one aspect, of course, that we have to do. But if we're not showing our behind the scenes, if we're not talking about our why, these are all the categories in digital marketing. So if we're not helping somebody to understand it's doable, because you're a mom, you have a little kid, you're, married, you've got all these things that you have to do in your life. Your ideal client says, okay, if she can do this, I can too. And I think that's why when you said those conversions where maybe there's only 12 views, I love that you said that, because a lot of people will say, well, I only had 8 views. It's like, but that's 8 people.
Right.
Or maybe that's like 2 people watching it multiple times because they really want to hear you. And I think that's such an important piece that we often forget when we're like, this person has likes, this person has this. And coming back to really looking at, how do I touch this person's heart? How do I really communicate to them? I am going to be the coach that guides them, and bringing them into your home in a way.
I like that you said that. I have a friend, she's a spiritual life coach, and she brings in 50K months, 50. I think and we're very transparent. We talk about each other, like we hold each other accountable. She hasn't made below 50K in a month in this whole year. And she has a YouTube channel, and she just has like 30 views. But she said that 30 views is a lot. I mean, even if you just get 10 views, we get customers from it, even if it's
look at this. Every person, and I know it takes pushing past fear to show up on video. It's if you go to my old YouTube videos, I was like, hi, let's talk about cranberry juice and candida and urinary tract infection. It was horrible. But the thing is, I did it, and still to this day, that's where people find me, because they say I was Googling. I went to also search on YouTube, and I found you.
Yeah.
So even if it's a few people, it's about consistent leads coming in without just saying, oh, I'm going to quit because I posted this post for a month. It's like, well, guess what? That post isn't working. Right. If your ideal client is not opting in, it's what you have said. It's the message. It's the clarity. It's lack of ownership, which is, when I say ownership, it's that the balls to go out there and put yourself out there despite your fears, and really dive deep into who do you help? What specifically is your process? And you had mentioned this about your process, and I would love for you, because you said the programs really helped me to develop my process. I know from speaking to you, you were like, I have these herbs. I know this was my entire process. Tell me, what's different between what you already had in your wheelhouse, which is what you still have, versus adding in that content that you think really solidified it?
So I completely changed everything. I rearranged my process. You can't even get to working on herbs until you've gone through XYZ. And then after you've gone through that, you have to be ideal weight. So I'll help you with weight loss. I'll help you overcoming food issues. I help to make sure that your bowels are moving, digestive issues, things like that. I help to clear up your skin. So women that have PCOS, I work with them as well. So that's all on a customized basis. So you're paying for one-on-one sessions with me. I'm referring them to products that I know have worked, that I've tested. And then I get to a place where you can take the 21-day hormone detox, but for me, it's called the 21-day fertility detox. So I kind of switched it around. And so, it's a fertility detox. I added my little touch to it. And then after you're gone through that process, then that's when I come in with the herbs. So I come in with herbs, I customize them, I teach them how to make the herbs. And then it's like a membership style where I'm sending them herbs from my apothecary every month.
Oh my goodness. That is beautiful. I mean, seriously beautiful. Are you using the 21-day hormone detox even for your menstruation clients?
Yes. Yep. So it's for both. It's for both. Fertility, even I tell women, even if you don't want to get pregnant, you need to be fertile. That means that your reproductive organs are working. So yeah. I use it for both.
Oh, listen, you just jammed on your clarity of who you serve. I think that's amazing, because when you were talking, not that fertility isn't your main niche, but I remember saying, you can also work with, if you have somebody who needs menstruation issues, like their daughter, and really kind of branching it out, but staying as fertility is your main jam, PCOS, menstruation.
Yeah, fibroids. Yeah, all of it in there. It's worked incredibly well. These days, I'm attracting a lot of women that are obese. And I absolutely love working with them. But they need a lot of work. They need a whole lot of work for me to get them to that fertility detox. That's my goal. And then, okay, I've got you on the fertility detox. You're healthy. You're an ideal weight. All right, now let's boost up that fertility a little bit more with these herbs. And then you will just continue going on and on and on. And then once you get pregnant, perfect. Then let's support you during the early stages of your pregnancy to prevent miscarriage. So it's a beautiful funnel, and I'm still working out the kinks. Like, it's not perfect. I've got a lot of stuff of yours that I'm purchasing in the next month or two. The castor oil, I want to purchase your PCOS diet plan. I want to, I'm just ready to run that credit card.
that PCOS course is amazing, because I remember when my writer said, I would double dog dare anybody to sit down and try to write this in this cohesive manner, because it's such a complicated, PCOS is so complicated, and there's so many people that go misdiagnosed. And I think the same as, I love that you brought up, how many times, it's not that all doctors are bad. I've gone to some brilliant doctors, and I've also gone to a lot that would say to me things like, well, everything seems fine. And yet there was a blanket of issues. Overlapping issues, scary ones. And I think that's why I love what we do so much. And, how it's taking somebody through a path where we say, I don't think you're crazy. You are having these issues. And now let's empower you to know these tools so that you can be on your way and actually live this life that you deserve.
Yeah. And I think it's also important, whenever I get someone on a discovery call, I think initially what I would do is I would be the expert, and this is what you should do, and blah, 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 blah. But it really changed, because it's like, hey, I've dealt with that too. Now I'm going to take you through a process, and this is the process that I took with my issues. Okay. I found it to work best for me and my other clients. I'm reminded of, every time I watch your videos, well, I don't binge watch them anymore, because I've watched I've watched every single one of them a million times. So I just watch the new ones now. And then some that I have bookmarked. But you always used to say, I built my business with 2 small children on the ground.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow, oh my gosh, that's me, because I have a small kid and I want other children and I don't know how I'm going to build my business. And you would say, I started my business with nothing. Or you would throw in these things that it's like, okay, I need to work with this person because they understand. You said I have health issues. You've been very, very upfront about your health issues and health challenges last year. Yeah. And so, well, I want to follow her. I want to see her process. I want to see what's going on with her. So I think it's just the messaging of saying, hey, this is customized for you. You're an individual person. But for me, overall, I had to take these steps to get to where I am, to get my son, to regulate my period, to have a good relationship with my menstrual cycle. And I'm going to walk you along those exact same steps.
I think a lot of us also I know for me, when I first came out of school, I saw friends of mine who were graduating from the school that I went to. They were starting websites. They were doing all of the stuff that they thought they needed to do. I'm all for starting a website. I'm all for everything, but they were doing it to where it was like $5,000 website and all these different things, hired social media people. I didn't have the money to do that. And I knew that I also felt like scared just to show up and be myself. I thought, oh, I've got to be this, this person that's saying, you should do this, you should do that. But I thought, that's what always was said to me. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to give up this. And I thought, if this person is like me, or any human being, which feels upset, scared, overwhelmed, they want to know about me. They want to know that I'm not going to drop them like I didn't drop my health issues. Yeah. Like I address them. I'm going to be relentless for them in the same way that I was for myself, my kids. And I think that we sometimes forget that this is this human being. It's not just sales and conversion, but it's like, do you have that synergy with this person? Because whether they're buying from you as a self-paced or personalized, but I think you and I even talked about this. This is such a sensitive issue. Health issues are so sensitive, especially when you have, been either misdiagnosed or all these different, or diagnosed. We feel helpless. And I thought somebody wants a guide. Yeah. And that's when it just hit me like, be myself, Rach. And it's still scary to be myself and not be like everyone else and kind of be like, here's the 5 ways you need to do this. But I do feel that it lessens a lot of the overwhelm of really showing up, because people don't buy products, people buy people.
Right. Yeah. It reminds me, I have a client that I work with who she's probably like maybe 5'1", 5'2". She's almost 400 pounds. She's basically been dismissed by everyone. They just say, well, you're not going to be able to have a baby because you need to lose weight. Nobody's ever like held her hand through the process. No one's ever shown her any comfort. No one's ever taught her the proper way to eat. Nobody's taken time throughout her medical journey to help her in any way. And so just having me saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take you through this process, figuring out why she eats the way that she eats. Yeah. She told me a story about when she was young and her step grandmother used to like torment her and make her eat these vegetables. So now she has a terrible relationship with food. Yeah. Imagine like us, we're overcoming that. And that's powerful. She's lost an incredible amount of weight in the past month. So it's like, we're in the health coaching industry, we have a big job ahead of us. And so it's that personal connection, that love, that like you're probably the only person that these people are going to connect with on such a deep level. And so of course I may be the expert in certain things, but at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, you and I are going through this life situation together. I want to have another kid too. So I have things that I need to work on, and I'm just like about to cry. Like that's how seriously I take this. Every client that I'm going on this journey with, I'm going through this too, because I have other children that I want to have. I have a menstrual cycle that I want to protect. So this is a serious job for me, and I'm about to cry.
That's what
I do.
Every time I've talked about my why, every time I've talked about my kids and thinking that I cleaned up my system so that I could birth these healthy kids. And they came out with some of the highest uranium levels that this biochemist we were working with had ever seen. She's like, do you live literally next to a nuclear power plant? And so I think a lot of us, we think that we're going to really clean things up. And then we find that, you know what, we need to work with somebody through that process. Yeah. And in not only us working through or finding what worked for us, we get to then be a part of somebody else's journey and walk with them. And it always brings up our own stuff. Yeah. It reminds us of either our gratitude or the things that we still need to work on. Yeah. And I think that's the beautiful part about how you have transitioned in such a short amount of time to understanding how you really need to show up for your ideal client and what that synergy and that relationship is like in that one-on-one, because a lot of our health issues, not all, but a lot of them have to do with our old traumas, our old triggers, or our old narratives and stories. And that's why I too loved, one-on-one, because you would get to just rip open that blockage and you get to journey together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an incredible experience. So a little backstory. When I first launched the 21-day fertility detox, at first it was a done for you or do it yourself type situation. That didn't go so well. So of course the people received benefit out of it. But the comments that I got were, well, we really, really needed you. Like, we really, really needed you in there. So I tried to just have it at, I think it was 125 or whatever, then they do it themselves. But then I saw people would rather upsell and have me. So I don't.
Hold on. Wait, give me a day. Let me fix that.
So that's not now for something like that. All of my programs, they include me talking in there. I guess because they find me, they connect with me on video. And so they need that conversation. They need my face. They need
the accountability. I mean, that's why I hear a lot of people who think passive income, do it yourself. I don't have to be involved. And it's like, for a lot of people, they need that accountability. Yeah. The do-it-yourselves are really great for people that can do it themselves. Maybe it's not a complicated issue, or maybe they just want to test you out before they invest. But I would say the majority of human beings fall short because we don't have that accountability. It doesn't mean that do-it-yourselves don't work. It doesn't mean that a different model is necessary. It just means know who you attract. And you really nailed that part. And you put a business together that not only makes you feel like amazing, but you know that you're doing this unbelievable work that is much necessary.
Yeah, it's nice to finally be profitable. It was hard, especially when I was running the Facebook ads, to just have money going away, like just have $1,000 going away with no returns. But you mentioned earlier about like having this expensive website and this and that. When I took away all the bells and whistles, I took away all the additional charges, all this, and it was just me. You can tell that, like, on my social media, I run my social media. Nobody makes any posts for me because it's me. Yeah. And so once I took away those bells and whistles, it was better. Of course, eventually I'm going to get to the point where I'll have like a big team and we're really working together. But I think it's a service-based business, and I am the business.
You are your brand, and you are that person. I hear you on so many levels. I mean, you and I could keep going and going, because clearly we're not a lack of words, us two firecrackers. Can you tell everyone, because I guarantee there are not only people that will be listening to this, but coaches who they are in this struggle. And it's always nice to actually hire somebody that we've identified with, on an interview like this. Can you tell everyone where to find you?
Sure. So I really like Instagram. Instagram is Dr. Vita K. So DrVitak. It's you can come on there. We can laugh together, cry together. My YouTube channel is Dr. Vita Natural Health. So you can find me there. I'm also on TikTok at Dr. Vita K. My new website is launching with a blog. So there are going to be lots of great resources just for women. I want to eventually add menopause, topics on menopause in the future. That's just not my niche right now. It's mostly for menstruating women. So that's where you can find me, and inbox me, say hello.
I have a feeling you're going to branch. I have a feeling you are just going to branch. Is fertility still going to be your main? It's your soul niche. It's your why. But I just have this feeling that women are going to say, I have to keep working with you.
Yeah. I've been having that, like pregnancy support.
Yeah.
I don't have a pregnancy. I have like an early pregnancy program, but I could just like, I'll just do like a few one-on-one sessions during your pregnancy, but it's just not my thing. But eventually, maybe.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. And guys, make sure to follow this amazing woman. Her Instagram videos are really, really well done, to the point that you have to go and be like, let me check in with this lady and see what she's saying today. So with that being said, make sure to go into the show notes. You're going to have Dr. Vita's information. And of course, if you want to hire, this is my quadruple thumbs up. All right, guys, we will see you on the next one and talk to you soon. Bye.